Hi, it's Cheryl. Join Amy and I on our very first episode of This Was Supposed to Be Easy as we talk about our transition from colleagues to friends. This introductory conversation will cover everything from craving connection with others, our wonderings about why women often make things look easier than they actually are, and why understanding, validation, and caring mixed together into a recipe that is scientifically proven to deepen ties. Oh yeah, we also talk about Amy's definition of being outsidey and my obsession with edible glitter. I can't wait for you to listen.
Welcome to the first of many episodes of
Drum roll, please.
This Was Supposed to Be Easy.
We have had these conversations on at least 1,000 car rides and thought it might be time for other people to join us.
So with that, my name is Amy, and I am typically coming at you from my home in Michigan. However, today I am on an adventure. I love adventures and I love traveling. And so today I'm actually in South Carolina. And with that, I have lots of adventures. They often include food, family, friends, and ways to be creative. And a few ways I like to be creative is through photography, whatever new craft I'm into or have taken up, or seeing Broadway shows. I wear a lot of hats and bring to you my thoughts through a coaching mindset. So I hold some degrees in family studies, early childhood education, and I have a master's of science and a degree with an emphasis on leadership.
My name is Cheryl, and I live on a lake in northern Michigan and fully believe that seeing water is an essential, soothing balm for the soul. Like Amy, and actually often with Amy, I love a good brunch in a new city, state, or even country, and time in a good bookstore, which I've done both of this week. I 100% embrace the label of being a Swiftie, and I love going to Broadway shows with my daughter and friends. I am just as happy walking through the woods or riding on a boat as I am exploring a big city or feeling the sun on my skin at the beach.
Which you have done numerous times this week.
I know this must be one of the best weeks of the year, I think. If I'm with family and friends, it is even better. Another reason this week has been great. I bring a certification in applied positive psychology and in facilitating flourishing skills groups, and degrees in early childhood, community, and educational leadership. And for that terminal one, a doctorate in child and youth studies.
All right. So you're going to learn much more about us along the way. But until then,
We believe our listeners are the many, many women and those who identify as women that may have moved through periods of life where they dedicate so much time to others. You know what I'm talking about, that they sort of forget themselves or their understanding of who they are. As women, we often make things look easier than they actually are. Think about social media and how we almost work hard to portray ourselves. We think about friendships as being easy. We think about raising children, managing life, our careers as all looking much easier than they actually are if we're willing to admit it. But we're actually craving, I think, deep down in our souls, connection with people. And it's a lot harder than we thought. You may have had deep connections before, and you may have them now, but we sort of keep finding ourselves in this place where it's hard to remember how to make those new connections.
yes, it reminds me of a conversation I had at a dinner party, not all that long ago. And I was talking to a woman who was in her 50s and was saying that she had moved to a new city. She was recently became an empty nester. She thought it would be easy to make new friends and how much of a challenge that was proving to be. She was trying to maybe join a couple of groups or things like that, but a lot of the individuals that were already there that she could see herself maybe making friends with were already together, already had their formed social circles and weren't really looking to let other people in. And she also shared how when her children were younger, she became friends with the other parents that were sitting on the bleachers. Or when she was working, she was able to be friends with the people at work. And now that she was living in this new city, that she wasn't making the friends that she thought she would. And it was proving to be a lot harder and a lot more challenging than she initially thought it would be.
Yeah, this was supposed to be easy, we thought. But we're finding that there are times in life that feel empty and lonely. There are times that we have felt alone. So we're on a mission to bring that out into the open, to search for others who have found little tips and tricks to help maybe build some of those new connections and just bring others along with us on this journey and maybe even form some new friendships along the way.
I love a good friendship. So, we want to seek out and unwrap stories that highlight the initial thoughts of the way we connect. We want to learn more about how to build connection, how to make life feel just a little bit easier. This isn't just how to, and it isn't just a collection of stories. It's an invitation to you to help us create a magnificent mosaic, a swirling kaleidoscope of
I'm
moments.
dancing a little
I
bit.
love that. A swirling kaleidoscope of moments and experiences that can expand and elevate our lives. We'll bring you the science of connection, happiness, and joy.
I love the example that you shared of kaleidoscope. If anyone could see me, I was starting to roll my shoulders a little bit and do a little dancing here in my chair. It makes me think of who we are going to get to connect with that we don't even know yet. And so we're going to ask for your stories.
We want to create that opportunity within our spaces to build true connection with others.
Opportunities that help each of us become more open to growing north. And that's a phrase I use a lot. It's a phrase that does come from positive psychology, but this idea of not just feeling like we're sinking and trying to swim back to the surface, but actually looking at that surface and trying to go north of neutral. Those feelings that we might be feeling in any given moment, I want to spend more time growing above the struggle and north of the struggle.
I love that saying so much. And I think that it is something that many of us really strive to do is to get north of neutral. When one of these moments shifted our long relationship as professional colleagues into a relationship of friendship. So thinking about that, I think we should share that story. Do you want to kick us off with it, Cheryl?
Sure. So, you all remember the pandemic and that time period where the world sort of shut down. Some of us were not doing as well as others. Maybe you needed more connection or just a person to see through a window. And we have a friend named Holly, and I did ask her permission to use her name. And she was one of those people. She needed more. She started baking cookies and driving the cookies around town and dropping them off on people's porches and asking for outdoor meetings. And we sort of formed this group. We call it book club.
But it was actually more of a club where we bought books versus reading them together.
We tried. We tried to read the books.
We did try.
I think we might have read a couple. And through that process, we realized that maybe for us, it was time for eating and drinking a little bit and not necessarily feeling like we were obligated to actually reading a book.
So together, we brainstormed some activities that had some of these elements. with that, we were at home, we might be at a Verbo, we might be together at a local bar or winery when we were
Yeah,
together.
I mean, clearly we're talking about
Yes,
post pandemic when we could finally get out there
get
and
back
touch
together.
each other.
Yeah. So we also had a lot of initial chat threads that we would keep kind of ongoing, but the issue was that we kept losing their names, so then we'd have to start a new one. And then we had some challenges with Androids and Apples and all of that. So we also realized that a lot of times it's just better when we can get together in person, but we still have those ongoing chat threads as well that we keep going that keep us connected.
As someone who does study a lot within the realm of positive psychology, without even realizing we were doing it, we were engaging in experiences that helped us understand each other better and more. These activities validated some of the feelings that we were feeling. And through all of it, we grew towards creating these spaces, which I use very loosely because the space changed, right? We were in all different kinds of locations, but
Yeah.
they were spaces because of who was there. And they were spaces where it felt comfortable to be caring towards each other. Our language started to change, our trust levels in each other changed. And we've learned so much about each other along the way because of that growth in understanding, validation, and caring. So we've now learned that these three specific actions are scientifically proven to deepen ties. We also know that there's this loneliness epidemic happening across our country, and I think even across the globe. So, as we often do during car ride conversations, we asked ourselves how we might create a container for the feelings, the science, the stories that help people come together in meaningful ways. We thought this was going to be easy, this adulting thing, but we've learned that it takes more effort and thought and action than we originally realized. Good news, though, there is science and research out there to help guide us on the journey.
It makes me also think I was talking to my now kind of late teenage daughter who is away at college, and she had some adulting things she had to do the other day, and she said to me, "Mom, I'm adulting and I'm only baby levels of adulting and it's already harder than I thought it was going to be." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's only going to get harder." But and she was like, "No, I don't think I want to do this adulting thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, it's life. You're going to." So, to all of you who are saying, "Oh, I don't think I want to do this adulting thing," we are definitely happy to have you here. Because when I think about it, we have something really special when it comes to connections. We look at our friendships, and it hasn't always been easy to even have this friendship group. And so I think one of the biggest key pieces is we really had to humble ourselves and one another and almost training ourselves to not feel left out if there's an activity that doesn't fit for each one of us. So, for example, we were talking about going to Broadway shows. There's kind of a key group of us that out of our 8 individuals, kind of in our larger group, that maybe 5 of us like to consistently go to Broadway shows. We travel. We're traveling this week, and there's 5 of us that are currently traveling. A different 5 then go to the Broadway shows. There's some overlap, some not. We go to concerts together. And again, that there was a kind of a core group that are always in for a good concert, and other ones that say, "Hey, if it makes fiscal sense for us right now, or I have the night available, I'll go." But that doesn't always get to happen either. But the one nice thing is that we always have a call to action. And that call to action is that, "Hey, I really need my friends right now." And we know that all 8 of us need to get together. Otherwise, when somebody just says, "Hey, I'm looking to hang out," it's fabulous when we can get all 8 together, but it might be just 2 people, it might be 5 people. We always invite the whole group, but we know that it is okay if somebody has other priorities or other ways that they have to prioritize their resources, like time, effort, energy, and money in that moment. and that no one feels left out to the point of saying like, oh no, don't get together, or oh no, please don't do that. Or start, maybe being like, oh, they don't like me anymore. They all were getting together on Wednesday night. We know that that doesn't have to necessarily be the case. And we don't want anyone kind of within our group to feel left out. But even getting to that point took a lot of real conversations and a lot of really deep thoughts.
I think what you're saying is that we're open to coaching with each episode of this podcast, with the growing community that includes all of you. We want you to engage and participate. We want you to share your opinions, thoughts, ideas, and then to join us sort of on the other side as we all grow together, to feel different, to even become different. And circling back to who we are, Amy, who I am, you'll get that through the different pieces that come up in our conversations as we engage in further episodes of this podcast. At any given point, who is Cheryl? Well, she might be reading 5 different books with the goal of finishing one of them.
Yeah, that finishing part is
I
tricky.
know. My husband, Kevin, thinks I might travel just a bit too much, but it doesn't stop me from looking for the next adventure. I'm always looking for a space and experiences that feel cozy. Cozy is one of my favorite words. I mean, I named my dog Cozy. I actually named my house Cozy Dreams. And that's a little bit more of who Cheryl is. I'm in this era of life, and I use the word era for a very specific reason. If you know, you know. I am more and more convinced in this era that I need to be purposeful in knowing my own strengths and spending more time using them. I also want to be the kind of person who notices strengths in others. I want to be fully aware of the fact that I like to be grateful, that I love learning, which is why I'm probably reading too many books at one time. Probably one of the reasons that you and I connect, Amy, is that I love to think creatively. And I know that you're really great at pushing me to think outside of the box and even more creatively. So we thought this adulting was supposed to be easy. We've learned that it's less hard when we know, acknowledge, and use our strengths. And so that's always a perspective that I want to be coming from.
Well, and I think it's also less hard when we can do it together with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, to continue to talk a little bit about who we are, I can share a little bit about myself too. So, as Cheryl mentioned, creativity. I crave being creative. I realize that if I go too long without being creative, I get crazy ideas. Like during the pandemic, when I wasn't being creative, I would stare at my kitchen table and think I could totally refinish this kitchen table and I could take it apart and resand it. And I watched a couple of YouTube videos and then thought, what the heck am I thinking? Like no one should allow me to completely refinish my kitchen table. I don't have the space to do it. And then, I started rabbit holing and thinking of a million different ways that I could. It was not a good thing. I also think of crazy things like I should paint a wall-size mural, and I shouldn't be doing that either. Again, love being creative, love doing those types of things, but there is a time and a place. I also have a heart for coaching and helping other individuals. I love when people say that they thought about something differently, or they think that they see their own potential in a way that they didn't see it before our conversations happen. It is amazing to see people do those types of things. I also use the term I am outsidey, not outdoorsy. So what I mean by that is I love to travel. I love to read outside while traveling. I love to have brunch outside. I love to do all of those things. I am never going to be your hiking friend. I know much where my strengths and weaknesses are. I am not going to be the friend that typically does all of the typical outdoorsy activities. I like to do the relaxing things I like to do, but just outside, especially in the sunshine. And so when I also say outside, I like warm weather. I am not, though living in Michigan, I am not a full-time snow person by any means. I don't like to be cold. I do love a good blanket.
Cozy.
I love to be cozy. Yes, absolutely. It's perfect. I'm sure we will use that much more throughout our entire podcast because it is such a good term. I do have 3 children and I love to spend time with my husband. My husband also would probably agree that I travel a little bit too much, but I love to see different parts of the world. I love to eat in different cities and get to see kind of what is out there and what is cool and what's the culture doing and all of those different things as well.
Together, we have been human for more than 95 years.
That feels like a lot of time.
We've worked professionally in the field of human development and most often in early childhood for at least 55 of those combined years.
One of the many things we agree on and believe at the core is that early childhood is a critical period of development. But that development doesn't end at age 8 or 18 or 30 or 65.
Or ever.
Right, or ever. But there's always new things to explore, new people to meet, new things to learn, new ways to grow. And it's up to us to carve out those opportunities.
And so we've discovered after working with or around each other for more than a decade that we both share, like we've said, a love for concerts, Broadway shows, talking, shopping, reading, eating. Without Holly's intervention, though, we may never have realized it. We might have always been friendly to each other, which goes to show the power that with just a little more knowledge and support, we can make new friends and develop the deeper relationships that we crave at any phase of life.
And we want to build that with you as well. Our vision for the kinds of topics we hope to explore are the topics that begin to fill the empty space each of us feel.
We invite you to become a full participant in our community. We want to know your questions, your stories, your struggles, your successes, so we can throw the confetti and cheer you on and celebrate with you. In fact, just this week, I bought myself a little bottle of spray pink glitter that I can just add to someone's food every once in a while as my little confetti. But that's what we want. We want those moments with you where we can all encourage each other. And before you think that I am asking you to accept encouragement from a crazy lady who just said she's going to spray glitter on your food, I should probably clarify that I bought edible glitter. And wow, let me tell you, having some cupcake frosting with edible glitter on the top just takes it to a whole other level. So anyway, we've told you a lot about us, who we are, what we like, general thoughts about friendship that we have, and why we're doing this podcast. And because we know that this will be a back and forth experience where you are going to participate with us, we thought it might be a good idea to break the ice a little bit. And so I want to throw a question out there to you. And this is my question. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? So just imagine me flitting around with my pink edible glitter, spraying it on all things tasty as you think about your superpower and what it might be. And we ask you to sort of break the ice and maybe drop that thought in the comments wherever you're listening to this episode.
We want to include some of your special moments in our future podcasts, and you will get to help us choose the topics that matter.
We can't wait to continue this conversation. It's going to sort of just be an ongoing conversation, is one way that you can look at it. We ask you to join us on the socials. We'll have them linked below in our show notes, and we will eagerly be watching for your stories and successes and your ideas for future topics.
So, with that being said, thanks for tuning in to This Was Supposed to Be Easy. Remember, the best stories are the ones we live. Join us next time as we uncover more tales and thoughts that just might change your world while we navigate those things that we didn't expect to be so hard. Remember, we want you to stay curious, stay connected, and keep wondering.
See you soon.